Hi, I'm Mike Jolly, Senior Manager of Technical Support at Canadian Solar, dedicated to the EP-Cube product. And behind me, we have EP-Cube 2.0. One of the first things you need to do is get the homeowner's Wi-Fi as well as the password and make sure that they've downloaded the EP-Cube app. Go ahead and show them where it is on the iPhone or the other apps, and make sure they get their email address registered, so once the system is commissioned, they can see the system on their app at the beginning of the installation. Avoid wasting time at the end of the installation during the commissioning process. This is the EP-Cube 2.0. This is our gateway, and this is the customer's main panel. Directly behind the main panel, we've got the utility service that comes in. Inside the main panel, we have 4 sub-panels. This is quite a complex home with 4 different sub-panels. So we do have an additional panel that you may not have in your installation. Inside of the EP-Cube gateway, we have the power coming in. This is main service disconnect rated. So if you want to use the EP-Cube gateway as your service entrance, you can do that. You will also need to have the breaker installed, the service entrance 200 amp breaker. That will need to be installed in this location. Because we have the breakers over here and the main service breaker on the outside of the home, we have removed the breaker and gone directly into the panel. Inside of the panel, we have our service interruption, which allows us to disconnect from the service and provide power to the home via the battery in a backup situation, in a utility outage situation. That goes through this busway, and then this bus will remain hot. Everything here and everything downstream remains hot, powered from the battery. Inside the gateway, we have a sub panel that you can utilize. This one has 1 hybrid that's coming in, and we also have a service outlet in the garage. If you want to add different loads, or if you want to add multiple hybrids, that will take place on this bus using a standard BR style breaker. In addition, we have 2 auxiliary ports. The extend port 1 is being used for an electric vehicle charger over here. The extend port 2 is being used for AC PV. So these are also controlled via your app and reported for the individual power that's going through each one of these ports directly on your app. So you can see what's happening with your electric vehicle charger. You can also see what's coming in from your AC PV as well as the DC PV that you may have. You have the ability to connect AC PV and DC PV. All of that is happening inside this gateway. Once your gateway is fully installed and you're done, you put our cover on and everything is protected. All of the electrical is protected behind the hard plastic dead front. One of the things you want to do when you get ready to do your EP-Cube 2.0 installation is unbox your components, clean up your trash, move your boxes out of your work area. As you can see, everything is laid out here. We have our extended base for our battery stacks. We have our individual 5 kilowatt hour battery components. We have 5 of those. We have the top connector, the top cap for the one stack, and we have the hybrid inverter for the other stack. In addition, we've also got the side plates that you'll put on after the installation is done. You want to wait to put your side plates on until after you commission the system. Some of the QR codes you'll be scanning end up behind the covers, so leave your covers off till the very end. We also have the brackets over here. They come in a lot of small plastic bags and in different areas. So getting them in an organized fashion like this helps expedite the installation. One of the things you want to do before you start stacking the batteries is go ahead and put the angle brackets on your top battery, or in this case, your 2 top batteries. The angle brackets have screws that are already attached. They're captive there, so all you need to do is put that right on the back and go ahead and fasten those to the battery back. You get these 2 brackets on, get them snugged up, and that way you'll be ready and you can just go ahead and stack these on and connect your wall brackets so you don't end up with these brackets behind the batteries where they're difficult to install if you wait till afterwards. I recommend doing this right after you get everything unboxed and you get your brackets out of the little bags. Go ahead and install these 2 top brackets, or in this case, all 4. They use a 10mm or a Phillips screwdriver, whatever you have handy, to go ahead and snug these up. Once you have your location established, go ahead and mount your extended base down to the floor. This particular floor is concrete, so we drill and we set 4 anchors into the concrete through our bracket that was previously attached to the back of the long base. If you don't have concrete, you can use a prefab slab or go ahead and have a slab poured. The long base should be on a very firm surface. Once you stack the batteries, you want to make sure your pins align as you're putting your batteries down into place. Once the connector chip engages, you'll have your IP67 rating, and it will be totally waterproof, and it will be electrically connected for a final connection as you put the battery down. So you don't have to worry about any jumpers or any bus bars or any other connectors after you stack your batteries. The EP-Cube bracketing system is very unique. We have screws that are captively attached to the bracket so you can't lose them. And these screws are either put in with a Phillips or an 8mm or a 5/16 socket. This particular bracket is a battery to battery attachment bracket. You'll see it has a little leg here that it hooks on to the side of the bracket, the side of the battery, and that allows you to go ahead and put your screws in very easily, even if it's a tight location that's hard to reach. This is the entire bracketing system. You have your side battery plates that hold your battery to battery together. You'll also have a base to battery plate that is different, that is not shown in the picture. This I-shaped bracket is your hybrid bracket. It will attach to the wall. This is a wall bracket behind the hybrid. And then in addition, you have your hybrid to battery bracket plates with no screws. These particular brackets are the hybrid to wall bracket attachment. You'll use these to attach the hybrid to the I-shaped bracket along the top. Again, these are captive screws. These particular screws are larger. They take a 10mm or a Phillips head screw. The long narrow wall bracket is only used if you have a twin stack like the one behind me, and it will be used on the top battery that does not have the hybrid on top. Always remember to install the brackets on the top batteries before you install them. It makes it much easier. Once your extended base is level and mounted to the floor, the concrete floor or pad that you have, you want to go ahead and start stacking your batteries. This particular installation has 1 battery on the left and it has 4 batteries on the right. So your battery on the left should already have the back brackets attached to it. As you go up, you'll want to attach your brackets between the side brackets, between the batteries or the batteries and base as you go. We'll be attaching the side brackets as we stack the battery. Remember, as you're placing your batteries, you want to be careful with your alignment pins on your connector. Make sure the batteries are fully seated. Sometimes they're not totally flush and you have to jostle them around a little bit to make sure they're fully seated. As soon as your batteries are stacked up, go ahead and put your side brackets on the batteries and just hand tighten them. Once your last battery is stacked, you can go ahead and grab your tools and tighten up all of the brackets, and then you'll want to install the wall brackets as your next step. Okay. This is the top of the EP-Cube battery. There are a couple things I want to bring to your attention. One is the connector. You'll want to make sure the connector is clean and free of debris before you stack. When the batteries come from the factory, there will be a black cover on this. I recommend you leaving the black cover on to the last minute until you're ready to stack the next battery. You remove the black cover and go ahead and stack that. In addition to this connector, you'll notice there's a little pin. This pin is an alignment pin that makes sure that the batteries align perfectly and keep them in place. Directly behind that, you have the angle bracket that mounts to the back of the battery with two 10mm bolts. This has a captive nut that goes to the wall bracket above it. Once your batteries are stacked up, you're ready to install the wall brackets. You'll see the bolts are already captive that come with the wall bracket. You'll go ahead and land your wall bracket. You may need to just move your battery stack just a little bit to get these bolts to line up, but it's very easy to do. And once you have this wall bracket, the bolts started, it holds the bracket in place so you can set your anchors, you can drill into the wall, do what you need to do to get it attached to the wall. There's also the smaller bracket, the wall bracket for the short stack. We'll go ahead and do that down here. Once your screws are started, you can either tighten them up if you're going to use an anchor that you can go through, or you might want to leave them loose until you get your anchor set in the wall and then come back and tighten up your bolts afterwards. Once all your batteries are stacked up, go ahead and use your 5/16 or 8mm socket or your Phillips and snug up the side brackets. Make sure they're all nice and tight. Don't over tighten these brackets. Those are relatively small screws, and these are just a safety to keep the battery stack in place. Once your brackets are ready to be installed, you can go ahead and screw directly into the studs if you have studs for the wall brackets, or if you need to set anchors, you can set those before and then go ahead and screw into the wall. Notice that when he's putting his wall brackets in, there's plastic covering the chip. The connector piece, so no dust or drilling particles will foul any of the pins in the connector chip. Once all your brackets are attached to the wall in their final configuration, you go ahead and put the top cap on the stack without the inverter, and you'll want to go ahead and hand tighten the side brackets on the top cap. Once your top cap is installed on the battery, you grab your hybrid with the front cover removed, bring it in and install it on the battery. As you come in, there's some alignment pins and there's the connector that need to all align, and it will go down nice and smooth once everything's in alignment. Don't force this piece. At this point, your hybrid is installed, your conduits and wires are pulled, and you're ready to terminate on the hybrid side of the system. You can go ahead and terminate your communications, your grounds, or whatever is most convenient. One thing to be aware of is with these quick termination connectors, you want to make sure your stripping length is about 5/8 of an inch or about 15mm as you plug in. Once you have that, it's very quick to terminate the system. The only thing that requires a tool is your grounds. Once your grounds are terminated, you simply plug in the RJ45 connector for your CAN bus communication cable. Then you can plug in your L1, your neutral, and your L2 number 6 wires. Remember, black is typically used in L1 and red is typically used in L2. If for any reason you need to remove the conductors, you put a tool, like a small screwdriver, and the little square to the right of the terminals and push in, and that will release the tab that holds the conductors in. Be careful to make sure you do not have stray wire strands as you terminate your PV strings. While it's not shown in the picture or the video, your rapid shutdown transmitter is pre-installed and pre-wired. You don't need to do anything for a rapid shutdown transmitter at the hybrid side. You only put the rapid shutdown devices on the PV panels themselves. This same hybrid inverter is also used in a light configuration. If you have a light configuration, you may have an e-stop. You can see there's an e-stop jumper that can be left in a normal backup situation like we have here. Once your terminations are all done, you can go ahead and put the cover on the inverter. This will completely seal the inverter. This is a gasketed cover, and it does have lots of screws. Be careful not to over torque or snap any of the screws if you're using power tools. It's a rubber gasketed seat, so you just have to make them snug. Once your termination cover is in place, go ahead and grab the front cover for the hybrid. There's 4 pins on the sides. Make sure your slots are in alignment. You simply pull the cover down and then you turn in the thumb screws on either side. At this point, our EP Cube system is fully installed and it's ready for commissioning. One thing we want to do is we want to remove all the plastics off the cover of the batteries, but we do want to leave the side plates off during commissioning because we do need to scan the QR codes on all of the individual batteries during the commissioning. After that time, we can go ahead and put the side plates on and cover at the last thing we do with the commissioning process. So we just go ahead and turn on the hybrid inverter, and then we'll open our app and go ahead and start the commissioning process. Once your system is commissioned and you've got all your QR codes scanned, remove the shipping covers, install your side plates. There are 3 points of control that you consider. The first one is on the smart gateway. On the side of the smart gateway, there's a little cover that you can lift up that shows the manual control button. Under most normal situations, you should not need to touch this button at all. It should always remain on. The second button, which is the button that you're going to look at the most, and this will be 2 different functions. One is the light ring surrounding the button. Under normal operation, the light ring will be a constant blue light, as you see here. If the system is in a startup or a fault or a different mode, you may see a blinking light. If the system is off, then you will see no light on the system. So pay attention to the light on the button, and the button should be depressed when the system is on and in normal operation. The third points of control are the 2 DC disconnects. You have PV 1, 2, and 3 for your first 3 MPPT channels that you will turn on. And if you have 4, 5, and 6, your other 3 MPPT channels, you can use this second DC string disconnect. If you're using DC PV, both of these should be on in normal operation.
On Gen 2, we've added a black start button, which is right below the on-off control. This is to recover your system in an outage. So if there's any issue with overload, you can reduce load and then have a chance to recover it off your battery's reserve energy. We'll provide documentation online so that way you can figure out the operation of the button. This is the gateway for Gen 2.0. These are the additional breaker slots we've added, and you can add your smart breaker here. This is the EP Cube app. It's basically the same setup as Gen 1 with a few added features. So for example, smart home. This is where you'll see your smart breakers and your load management essentially. So anything on an extend port or smart breaker, this will all be controlled from this app. You can turn them on, off, and it's SOC or time-based is how these loads are controlled. This is from the smart home tab, which you click on from the home screen. If you want to see your production in real time, you can click the solar icon up top in the right. The DC input right now on this system is off, so you don't see any power flow, but we have AC coupled, which you can see here, AC versus DC. Perfect. You can see the kilowatts in the exact moment that it's producing, or you can see the total kilowatt hours throughout the day. That'll repopulate and change every day. To see the total cost, this is the operating mode. We have our typical backup mode, self-consumption, and time of use settings. There's a service tab down below, so you can contact support. It provides your service number as well. You can also just send in a message with a little detailed description of the issue you're experiencing, and somebody will reach back out to you. This is the data page. It's basically the same from Gen 1. It just tracks all the data from day to day, month, year, and then total.
Now that your EP Cube system is up and running, you'll want to take a note of what your system is doing in your EP Cube app. You can decide if you want to run your system in self-consumption, in backup mode, or in time of use for whatever is best for your personal needs. The EP Cube can also help you manage your other electric loads. For example, if you're used to running your pool equipment at night, you'll now notice that you may have excess electrical capacity from your solar during the day that you should be using to run things like your pool pump or doing laundry. So using the app and paying attention to the production and consumption curves will help you make good decisions on how to make the most economic value from your EP Cube investment. Enjoy your EP Cube, and thanks for listening.